Okay, welcome to the final part of the mock tutorial video. This section we are going to go through our created website, make sure all the links are working, check all hyperlinks, double check for any missing alt text in any areas, and ensure that we've got some decent content on our website. And a step that I won't be doing, but you must remember to do, of course, is the evaluation of your website. Remember, that's worth 6 marks. You don't want to go throwing that away by not doing it. And the more content you put into the website, sort of the more design decisions that you take responsibility for that aren't just outlined in this booklet, the more you can talk about in your document evaluation. Remember, the document evaluation should really be about how you think it could be improved if you were to do it again, changes that you would make. You justify your design decisions and then you make recommendations for improvements. Okay, so let's have a look at what I've got so far. So I have my 5 pages. I've got my content as is outlined by the instruction booklet here. And then our treetops and our junior page, which currently don't have anything on them. So I am going to put a little bit of content on there. And I'm also going to just make sure that all my hyperlinks and everything are working. So let's start off with my hyperlinks. So my home link here, I'm just going to insert a hyperlink for that. And I'm just going to go through the process of ensuring that these links all attach to the correct place. So really simple, insert hyperlink. You can, the text there is about us. The link should be the about us page. And the target I set to _self because that means that it opens on top of its own page rather than opening in a new tab. If I wanted it to open in a new tab, I would set the target as _blank. And activities. Okay, so I need to do this for all of my pages. Now, just as I go through, if you have thought ahead when you first created your template, you can actually create the hyperlinks in your template and then save it and so on and so forth, and it will actually remember your hyperlinks for your future pages. The one thing that you have to remember for that is if you're going to make your hyperlinks in your template, you haven't yet made all of the pages you want to link it to. So you have to create the hyperlink by typing in the name of the file that you would link it to without actually having the file itself to use. So say, for example, here, I'm linking this to aboutus.html. Well, if I knew that my about us page was going to be called about_us.html, then I can make that link before that page exists. And then as soon as I make that page with exactly the same spelling and save it into my correct folder, then that will work. So all of these here, just to organise my hyperlinks. So I'll just do this final page here. Now obviously you've got 5 pages to go through and do, but I'm not going to make you sit and watch me doing all these 5 pages. I'm just going to make sure that you are aware that all of them need to be correct and hyperlinked working. Okay, now remember, the treetops and the junior page should be linked from our activities page. If I just refer back to the instruction booklet and I go and have a look at what the hierarchy looks like, the activities page should link to the treetops escapade page and the junior escapade page. So I am going to just set up those as well on my activities page here. I'm going to add extra rows underneath here, table, and insert row. and then just shove my activities one up there so that I can make this one treetops and this one junior. Junior escapade. So then, of course, I can again go through the process of insert and hyperlink. And this one is the treetops page, which is just there. Underscore self. Okay. And this one is the junior escapade page. Insert, hyperlink, junior, underscore self. Okay. And obviously I would also need to link these ones home, about us and activities. And also not forgetting that these two treetops and junior pages need to then link back to all of these. So do go through each page and just double check that all of your hyperlinks have been set up, that they're all working correctly and that they go to the right places. Okay. Also, as you go through each page, just click on each image that you see and check in your code that you have an alt text set, escapade logo, image of climbing frame, alt image of school trips, alt how to find us map, and so on and so forth. So the rollover image alt, yeah, that's there. There's nothing yet in the treetops and the junior escapade, and I know that my header and footers have, because I set them up in the template page and then just resaved them. So I'm going to put a little bit of content into some of these pages now, and it really doesn't matter what content you choose, so long as you have thought about the fact that your client brief will have explained to you your audience and your purpose of the site. And this is what you're referring back to when you write your evaluation. You're talking about why this design decision is appropriate for the audience for this site. So the audience of this site is children aged 14 to 18 and their parents. And the reason why my design decisions are appropriate is because the colour scheme is bright and engaging. It's not clashing colours, it's simple and easy to read, legible, etc, etc. These are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about. So I am going to go into my assets folder and have a look at what stuff that I can use, especially in my info .txt file there, or .rtf file. So I've already used the school trip stuff, but say I can use, there's the treetop escapade. I'm going to select that and I'm going to use that in the treetops page. So here we are in the treetops page, and I could just paste that text straight into this area here. There's not much design decision that's gone into doing that. Or I could even copy out the similar idea as this sort of orange box look that I have here. I can create a table inside a table in order to do that. So insert table with one border and one column, 300 pixels wide. And I'll add a height of 400. And I'm going to paste the text in there. And I'm going to set the background colour as the same as the orange about us. So where's that? There's the orange about us colour. There it is. Copy. Okay, so I'm starting to build up a little bit of consistency here. So I've got the same sort of layout as I have here. And again, I might bring in an image. Remember, the image should be brought in before the text in order to be wrapped. So remember, this image here is aligned right and appears in the code before the text. That means that it will actually allow me to wrap it. So I'm going to bring in an image. I'm going to place the image over here, an appropriate treetop image. So let's have a look in my file for one of those. If we just have a look under assets and our images. Oh, there's a nice treetops image, image 7. I'll use that one. So I'm going to drag across image 7 and put that right at the top of my text. Then I'm going to resize that. So I'm going to do that in the properties bar so that I can lock the changes in place. I don't want to change it and lose the proportions. So I'll halve that. I'll set the height to 200 and have a look and see what it looks like. That's not too bad. Good, excellent. And then, of course, in the code of this image, I'm going to set the align equals right. Now we have the wrap effect that's occurring, and also I want to add the alt text in there. So this is okay. So this is the sort of thing that we're looking for, and obviously all I want to do is I want to ensure that that my information, that my content is completing in an effective way, so that I can clearly see everything that I want to show off for my page, that I've used some design decisions, that I've got the consistency, and that I'm actually selecting some of the areas from the assets table in order to use on different pages. Try not to leave any page blank, okay? So remember as well that that you can edit the text and the look of the text by changing your CSS, by editing your CSS. So for example, if I was to have set my my various text here to a specific type of text, so let's say if I set this text here to H1 tag, in my code by opening the H1 tag and then closing the H1 tag. There we go. Can delete the P tag because I don't need that one. P tag is instead of H1. There we go. So now I've got the heading 1 tag, and obviously it looks very large and kind of not exactly what I would hope for. So what I can do at that stage is I can then edit the heading 1 tag in the CSS. So this is the heading 1, and I would want to go into my CSS area in order to manage this. So I can go into Window and my CSS designer, which is just there. I can create a new CSS for this whole web page, so I'll just call it main.css. Okay. Add a new selector. Let's edit the heading 1 tag. And let's edit the text, and let's set the text of heading 1 to no, we will actually leave the text as black, I think, because it's probably the easiest to read, but I will change the font family, and I will change the font size as well. Okay. So now, obviously, with my font selected for this particular CSS, for this particular selector, I can then set that selector for any of my objects. Okay, so even if I move my CSS manager over there for a minute, and over here, in my code, if I change my home tag, that's going to be heading 1, 2. There we go. And our about us, I'm going to change that to heading 1. And our activities, and I'll change that to heading 1, 2. You see, this just adding a little bit of design feature into our various elements. And remember, of course, once I've set up that that CSS for heading 1, for the main.css, I can apply that main.css to any page. So I could go to activities over here, and it says I don't have a source for activities, so I can add a source, and I can say, and I want to attach an existing source. I can go to browse, and I'm looking for my main.css file that I've just made. And when I press OK, that means that the heading 1 feature that I've already edited in the previous CSS can now be applied to this page as well. So I can simply go into home tag there and also add the heading 1. And the same edit will occur. So make sure you look for consistency, make sure you think about your design decisions, make sure all of your hyperlinks work, everything's readable, that you use as many resources as you can from the assets folder, and so long as you bear in mind all of those rules and things to remember, your work will achieve high on the grade boundaries. And what you're looking for is just to not drop as many marks as possible, to pick up as many marks as you can. So it's at this stage where, if I've finished everything else, that I then go back in to my assets folder and have a look at things like the file sizes and see if I can resize files by opening them in iPhoto or in Photoshop, etc., etc. But also, make sure that you put enough time into the evaluation process as well. Okay, so this was me walking you through the exam from the tutorial, and if you have any problems, then come and speak to me. Okay, thank you.